If you've ever stood in Costco's meat section and felt a little overwhelmed by those giant packages, you're definitely not alone. I mean, you're looking at 6 pounds of ground beef, a whole beef tenderloin that weighs more than a newborn, and price tags that seem great until you realize you're spending $80 on one shopping trip. The question everyone wants answered is simple. Which meats are actually worth it, and which ones should you skip? Here's the thing most people don't realize. Not everything in that meat case is created equal. Some items will save you serious money compared to your local grocery store. Others, you might actually be better off buying them somewhere else. And a few popular items have quality issues that Costco shoppers have been complaining about for years now. I went through the research, talked to chefs who shop there, and looked at what actual customers are saying on Reddit and other forums. What I found surprised me, so let's get into it, starting with the meats that are absolutely worth throwing in your cart. 1. The rotisserie chicken. You knew this one was coming, right? But let me tell you why it deserves to be at the top of this list. That $4.99 rotisserie chicken hasn't changed in price since the year 2000. Think about that for a second. Gas was around $1.50 back then. A movie ticket cost about $5. Yet, this chicken is still the same price 25 years later. If Costco had adjusted for inflation, that bird would cost you over $9 today. But they've refused to raise the price. In fact, they lose an estimated $30 to $40 million a year just to keep it at $4.99. Some estimates say that number is even higher now, given how much everything else has gone up. Why would they do that? Because they know once you walk to the back of the store to grab that chicken, you're going to pick up a few other things along the way. The wine section is right there. The prepared foods. The desserts. It's brilliant, and it works in your favor if you have the discipline to stick to your list. Costco sells over 137 million of these chickens every single year. That's not a typo. And they went so far as to build their own $450 million poultry processing facility in Nebraska just to control costs and keep that price point stable. That's how committed they are to this product. Here's a tip that Costco employees have shared. Listen for the bell. When you hear a bell ring near the rotisserie display, that means a fresh batch just came out. These chickens are only kept on the warmer for about 2 hours before they're pulled and used in other prepared foods. So, timing your visit right means you get the juiciest bird possible. Now, I will mention that there have been some recent reports about food safety concerns with the processing plant that supplies these chickens. Nothing has been recalled, but it's worth knowing. Always handle your chicken properly when you get home, and if you're reheating it, make sure it reaches the right internal temperature. 2. The whole beef tenderloin. This one is for anyone who's ever wanted to serve filet mignon at home without spending a small fortune. Most people walk right past this in the meat case because it looks intimidating, but it's actually one of the best deals in the entire store if you know what to do with it. Here's how it works. Costco sells whole beef tenderloins, either trimmed or untrimmed, in their meat case. The untrimmed version, sometimes called a PSMO, is where the magic happens. You can buy an entire USDA choice tenderloin for around $26 a pound. Compare that to buying pre-cut filet mignon steaks from the same case, which can run $38 or more for just one 8-ounce steak. One shopper recently shared their experience online. They bought a 6-pound tenderloin, spent about 15 minutes trimming it at home, and ended up with almost 5 pounds of beautiful center-cut steaks. The trimmings? Those became incredible burger meat and stir-fry strips. When they did the math, their cost per pound for perfect filet mignon worked out to just over $34. The pre-trimmed version in the case was selling for nearly $40 a pound. That's almost $30 in savings for 15 minutes of work. If you're not sure how to trim a tenderloin, there are great step-by-step videos on YouTube that walk you through the whole process. You just need a sharp knife and a little patience. The butchers at Costco are also helpful if you ask them for tips. Once you do it once, you'll never go back to buying pre-cut steaks for special occasions. 3. Wild Alaskan sockeye salmon. Not all salmon at Costco is the same, and that's an important distinction that can save you from disappointment. The Kirkland Signature wild-caught Alaskan sockeye salmon, available fresh in season or frozen year-round, is one of the best seafood values you'll find anywhere. Customers consistently rave about this one. The fillets are thick, moist, and have that deep red color that comes from a natural diet of krill and other crustaceans. Each fillet is individually vacuum sealed, which is a nice touch if you're not cooking them all at once. You can pull out exactly what you need and leave the rest frozen without any freezer burn issues. One thing to know, there's a big difference between this and the farmed Atlantic salmon Costco also sells. Some customers have noticed quality issues with the farmed version over the past couple years, describing it as having a mushy texture or an off taste that wasn't there before. The wild caught doesn't have these problems. Stick with the sockeye, and you'll be happy every time. The price is significantly lower than what you'd pay at most seafood markets or specialty stores for the same quality. And because Costco turns over so much inventory, you're usually getting fresher fish than at smaller stores where product might sit longer. If you've noticed this at your store, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 4. Pork tenderloin. This might be the most underrated meat in the entire Costco meat section. While everyone's fighting over the ribeyes and the brisket, the Swift pork tenderloin is sitting there, quietly being an absolute steal. The packages come with 2 tenderloins, and the price per pound is hard to beat for such a lean, versatile cut of meat. What I love about this one is you can see exactly what you're getting through the clear packaging. The marbling is visible, the meat looks fresh, and the quality is consistently high week after week. These are raised and packaged by Swift, a company that's been in the meat business since 1855. You're getting something reliable every time. The 2 tenderloin setup is actually perfect for most households. You can cook one for dinner tonight and freeze the other. Or if you're meal prepping, cook both and portion them out. Pork tenderloin cooks quickly, stays moist when done right, and works in everything from stir-fries to sandwiches to a simple roast dinner. Right now, with beef prices being what they are, pork tenderloin is delivering better value than almost anything else in that case. One longtime Costco member mentioned they've shifted a lot of their protein budget to this cut specifically because the quality-to-price ratio is impossible to beat anywhere else. 5. Prime brisket. If you've got a smoker in your backyard or you're thinking about making corned beef for St. Patrick's Day, Costco's USD. A prime brisket is absolutely where it's at. This next one is why I wanted to make this video. Here's what makes this special. Prime beef represents only about 2% of all beef in the American meat supply. It's the highest grade you can get with the most marbling and the best flavor. This quality is usually reserved for high-end steakhouses and fancy restaurants. Most regular grocery stores don't even carry prime grade meat at all. But Costco regularly stocks prime brisket at prices that would make your local butcher scratch their head, wondering how they do it. Customers have reported finding whole prime briskets for around $4 a pound. Compare that to specialty butcher shops or online retailers like Porter Road, where you might pay $12 a pound or more for the same quality. We're talking about saving $8 on every single pound. The key with brisket is to actually look at what you're buying before you put it in your cart. Inspect the marbling throughout the meat. Watch out for briskets with a lot of neck meat attached, which some shoppers have noticed adds weight without adding value. Take your time picking through the selection, find the right one with good fat distribution, and you'll end up with an incredible piece of meat for your next cookout or holiday dinner. 6. Kirkland Signature boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I know, chicken breast seems boring compared to everything else we've talked about. This is one of those staple items that families need week after week, and Costco delivers real, consistent value here that adds up over time. The Kirkland Signature version costs less than $3.50 per pound, and you're getting around 6 pounds in each package. Most regular grocery stores charge over $1 more per pound for the same cut. Do that math over the course of a year, and you're looking at significant savings just on chicken alone. What really sets this apart from other bulk chicken options is the packaging. The chicken comes in individual tear-off sections that are each sealed separately. That means no leaking, no mess in your freezer, and you can grab exactly what you need without thawing the whole package and refreezing what you don't use. It's one of those small details that makes a big difference in everyday life. Some customers have mentioned the breasts are noticeably larger than what you find at other stores. If that bothers you, just butterfly them or pound them out a bit before cooking for more even results. But for most people, that extra meat is a bonus, not a problem. Now let's talk about the meats you might want to think twice about before buying. Skip. Kirkland ground beef. I know this surprises a lot of people, but hear me out. Costco's ground beef is 88% lean, which sounds healthy on the surface, but that leanness is actually a problem when it comes to cooking. Chefs and experienced home cooks will tell you that fat carries flavor and keeps meat moist. An 88-12 blend dries out quickly and often tastes flat compared to an 80-20 or even 70-30 blend. If you're making burgers, meatloaf, or meatballs, that fat content makes a massive difference in the final result. One chef I read about said he won't use anything leaner than 80-20 because it just doesn't deliver. There's also the bulk issue to consider. You're buying 6 pounds at a time, which means you need to portion and freeze what you don't use immediately. And here's the kicker. When you factor in weekly sales at regular grocery stores, you can often find better fat ratios at competitive prices without having to buy so much at once or deal with the freezer space. Skip. Kirkland Hickory Smoked Bacon. This one hurts because bacon is one of those products people assume will always be good at Costco. But customers have been complaining for a while now about a noticeable decline in quality. On Reddit and other forums, shoppers describe recent batches as thin, stringy, and having a strange gamey flavor. One person said the bacon they bought was mostly fat with very little actual meat. Others mentioned they've stopped buying it entirely after multiple disappointing experiences. I'd recommend inspecting the packages very carefully if you do decide to buy it, but honestly, you might be better off spending a little more on a quality bacon from somewhere else. When something as simple as bacon becomes unreliable, it's just not worth the gamble when you're trying to make a nice breakfast. Skip. Pork shoulder. This might seem strange since I just recommended pork tenderloin, but pork shoulder at Costco has some issues that are worth knowing about. First, the ones you typically find are boneless. Sounds convenient, right? But bone-in pork shoulder actually tastes significantly better because that bone adds flavor and moisture during long cooking times. You're missing out on something important with the boneless version. Second, depending on where you live, Costco's pricing on pork shoulder isn't dramatically better than other grocery stores. You might even find better deals elsewhere, especially when your local store runs sales. For pulled pork or slow-cooked recipes where you want maximum flavor, the bone-in version from your local butcher or another store is often a better choice. Save your Costco trip for items where the value difference is more obvious. Skip. Blade tenderized steaks if you like them. Rare, this is a tricky one and something many shoppers don't even know about. Costco uses a process called blade tenderization on many of their pre-cut steaks. This means they've been pierced with small needles to make them more tender before packaging. The problem? That process can push surface bacteria deeper into the meat where normal cooking temperatures might not reach it. The official recommendation is to cook these steaks to at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which means no rare or medium rare. If you read the fine print on the labels, you'll see this warning right there. For some people, that's perfectly fine. But if you love a nice pink center on your ribeye, you should buy whole cuts and slice them yourself at home. Or specifically ask the butchers for cuts that haven't been tenderized. Skip. The pre-made frozen meatballs Kirkland Signature Italian style. Meatballs have been the subject of complaints for years at this point. Customers describe them as rubbery, dense, and having an odd aftertaste that doesn't taste like real meatballs should. Some even say they have a spongy texture that's just not right no matter how you cook them. For the convenience they offer on a busy weeknight, they're fine in a pinch. But if you want meatballs that actually taste homemade, make them yourself or buy a different brand. This is one product where Kirkland doesn't live up to its usual reputation. So that's the complete breakdown. 6 meats that will absolutely save you money and deliver quality you can count on. Rotisserie chicken, whole beef tenderloin, wild sockeye salmon, pork tenderloin, prime brisket, and boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And a handful of others where you're better off looking elsewhere. The biggest lesson here? Not everything at Costco is automatically a good deal. Take the time to compare prices, inspect what you're buying carefully, and think about whether the bulk quantity actually works for your household. I'm curious, what's your go-to meat purchase at Costco? Is there something I didn't mention that you absolutely swear by? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, subscribing helps us keep bringing you these updates every week. Thanks for watching.